Good morning to all my friends and family, and welcome to this episode of Jim's 5am Club. It's Saturday morning. I'm on my lunch break here at work, and as you can see, there's quite a few people out and about, and good old Sydney town has slowly got its mojo back, and post-COVID things are starting to look like they're picking up, and hopefully we're going to have a awesome summer ahead of us. Still winter time, so we've got spring and summer to look forward to, and I'm down here on wharf number 6, fairly quiet wharf, but a wharf that I often come to because it's quiet and I can just get away from the hum and drum of the city and see the ferries come in and out. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to go through a book summary like I normally do, and the book summary today is entitled Bored and Brilliant by an author known as Manoush Zomorodi. Manoush Zomorodi has written this book on how to find brilliance through boredom. So he kicks off the book with an observation where he says that boredom is the gateway that helps us create new connections to break through thinking. How interesting is that? I remember when I was a kid, I'm an only child, so I'd spend many an hour by myself. My parents ran a business and they'd be working 7 days a week, and often I would need to entertain myself. And I remember, especially around about Christmas time when all my friends would go on holidays with their parents. My friend Alec Pappas would go down to Ulladulla with his family. My friend Jim McCain would go to Toukley up on the Central Coast with his family. And I was basically left to try and fill in the gaps and find some meaning in those days. And often I would be bored, but it was through that boredom I too myself found that I was able to become creative and to find myself and to find things to do and to occupy my time. Just in case you're not aware, there's a seagull down here that has found a nest, or has created a nest on some loose rope, and he or she or they have been sitting on their clutch of eggs for a number of days now, and it won't be long before I'll be able to come down here and see some baby chicks, some seagull chicks, and be entertained by this spectacle of nature. And I find it quite amazing that these birds, through instinct alone, somehow know that it's the right time of year. There's less than 40 days till summer. Summer's just around the corner. It's still cold, but when these hatchlings come of age, it will be warmer, it'll be springtime, and it'll be just the right time of year for them to come into the world. So I'll continue with this book summary, but as I said, once again, boredom is the gateway that helps us create new connections and break through thinking. Just like these seagulls are just dutifully sitting on their nest and biding their time and doing what they need to do to bring their hatchlings into the world, we too also need to be mindful that we too can spend the quiet time and be productive and do some wonderful things. So the author here says that sometimes we need to zone out in order to break through from the constant bombardment of information. We need time to regenerate, and through this regeneration and this recreation, we are able to come back stronger. And it definitely needs, according to the author, to cognitive improvements. So by being bored, by doing nothing, what it actually does is that it ignites our ability to think, and to think deeply, and to prepare ourselves for betterment. So the first formal point that comes from this author is where he says that being bored leaves room for your brain to rest, it leaves room for your brain to innovate, and it leaves room to come up with new ideas. Because what happens is that we need space. We need to create space, and by creating space, that space is filled up. And sometimes by being too busy, by being too involved, and by being too hyped up, you don't have the opportunity, the space to bring in and to generate and to regenerate new ideas. The author here makes a really clear point that boredom does not equal laziness. Boredom, in fact, facilitates creativity. And we have many examples in the world. People like Steve Jobs, Tolkien, people who became brilliant because they were bored. Sometimes we need a break. Sometimes we need some white space in order to reset ourselves and to generate an environment that is conducive to thinking and to innovation. So the author here goes on to say that boredom is part of our evolution. No, there have been times where, for example, the ancient Greeks, in a short period of time, were able to create some significant breakthroughs. And it was time that was between wars, where they didn't have to worry about being attacked or attacking somebody else. They had time to sit back. They had time to indulge in their white space. And through this resetting, they were able to think about things in a different way without being indulged, I guess is one way of putting it, in the flight or fight response, through being anxious, that they had a period of calmness where they could use that calmness to reset and to build a better future, not only for themselves but for the rest of the world to leverage off as well. So as we see here, the author says that boredom is a part of evolution. And if we look back over time, this white space or this boredom that people had triggered new ways of thinking. It triggered new ways of living, and it gave birth to new evolutionary inventions, ideas, and ways of working with each other, collaborating, and basically building the many building blocks that we have today, which are the foundation of our society. So boredom allowed us to think of more than just survival. So as we said, because it's part of our evolution, survival was the key for many, many years, for many generations. But when you had a period, as we mentioned before, between wars, where we didn't have to worry about surviving, then that was an opportunity for us to think about what we can do to better our lives, what we could do to thrive as opposed to survive. And it was a time in space where we didn't have to think, or we didn't have to live in fear or overstimulation. We were relaxed, and by being relaxed, we're able to tap into the beta and theta brainwaves that enabled us to be more rational and more inclined to think clearly and to think of ways to have a better life. So the second key point that comes from this author is that there are three types of daydreaming. Among only one is productive. So whilst we say that it's great to have a break, it's great to have white space, there are three types of ways that you can use that white space, and as the author says, only one of which is productive. So of the three types of daydreaming, of which one is empowering and productive, the first one is where we have poor attention control. The second one is called guilty dysphoric, and the third one is called positive constructive. And as you can imagine, the last one is the one that we need. The last one, the positive constructive daydreaming, is the one that we need in order to make the most of our time. So we need to spend more time in positive expectancy. We need to be in a space that is not creating negative stress. You know, while stress is considered bad, there are two types of stress. There is good stress, which is called eustress, and there's bad stress. So we need to be in a thought mode, in a way of conceptualizing, which is conducive to creating solutions, creating innovation, and positively visualizing and reinventing the world around us. So the author's last point that they make is a call to action, where they say that we need to be in a position right here, right now, today, where we quit our phone addiction and embrace boredom, because by embracing boredom, it will help us to uncover the genius within us. The sad point is, and we're learning it slowly but surely, that people spend far too much time connected to their devices, being distracted every minute of the day. And this distraction does not allow them to connect with their soul, with their own thinking, and it doesn't allow them to connect with other people. So what the author is saying is that this addiction is something that's causing us grief. And what we need to do is we need to let go and to welcome times of the day, times of our lives, where we let our brain do nothing until it decides to do something. We need to ban the many distractions that come flowing into our day and into our life. And in order to do this, what we need to do is to journal and to identify and to observe where we spend most of our time and where most of the distractions in our day and in our life come from. And to open our arms, open our fingers, open our hands to boredom, and to allow it to take over our lives, because by allowing it in, it will allow us to motivate us. It will allow us to refocus on the key priorities in our lives, as opposed to being drawn and guided to things that we have no control over, to be distracted by things that other people are in control of. The Facebook, the Instagram, and the various other modes of media. So what the author is once again telling us and asking us and imploring us to do is to spend more time doing nothing. Because by spending more time doing nothing, what the author is saying is that your brain will eventually decide to do something, but it needs a gap, it needs a break, it needs some white space in order to do what it's brilliantly designed to do. So once again, thank you very much for joining me on this episode of Jim's 5am Club. As you can see, Sydney's come alive. We're nearing the end of winter. We've got the cruise ships coming back. We've got people out and about. And it's going to be a brilliant end to the year and a lovely start for springtime and summer. Take care, everybody. Wishing you all the best. And I will be coming down here. I do come down here on a daily basis. And I'll let you know how this seagull or how this family of seagulls goes. That could be the daddy over there or the mum. They're talking to each other, as you can see. And it may be time. It may be time. It may be time for them to do their swap over. But we'll see how we go. Just hope that I don't peck my eyes out here. But as you can see, they're very protective of their clutch of eggs. And I just hope that they come to a point where we can see some chicks growing and developing and hopefully surviving and flying off from this location. This wonderful location, which is a place where people come from all over the world to admire. Anyway, Yassas, take care and bye for now.